So I'm gonna vlog about this because I'm really nervous, and I don't know what to say. So I started this ride knowing that if you just commit to something and just work towards it, it's gonna happen. It'll work. Now, I created this blog, I created the ride, I created horse, I did all of this with really not a lot of money. Alright? And these broken parts that I just am dealing with right now ended up costing me everything that I saved except for the motorcycle that's still for sale. So I'm out of fucking money. And like, I've traveled really broke before, and it's not a lot of fun. Like, I don't know what to do, man. I got no money coming in, and I'm about to get further away from somewhere where I can make it. I had hoped that I would get enough contribution to this show from people that just believed in the idea that I could afford the little bit of money I really need to afford to carry on. Which, assuming nothing breaks, I figure it ends up being about $400 to $500 American a month. And that's just travel costs. That is, I am fed, watered, sheltered, and gas in the tank, and mobile. And you know what? I've spent $4,000 trying to make that happen. That's a fair number. I don't know, I'm really discouraged. But then I start to, scale my alternatives. And yes, Canada did just vote in a Liberal government, which, that's an interesting concept right there, man, because everybody's really broke right now because oil's gone downhill, and the Liberals aren't going to help oil come back too fast. They're going to help the children of these really broke people get better educations, better jobs in different fields so we're not completely dependent on oil. But in the short term, I think people are just going to get fucking angrier. Like, it'll make a better world for your... Absolutely. Like, if I would have voted, I would have went that way too. Because seriously, oil is a limited resource and we're running out. So let's do it now while we can still afford to try. Moving on. So going back to Canada, work construction, maybe move to Vancouver and try to start a film career out of the bottom. Which, just saying it, just doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. So, like, what do I do? What do I do? Man, spending time alone really helps you think about the important stuff. And, like, just the idea that I've left behind everything that I know and everybody that I've ever loved for... Honestly, because I think I'm fucked up and I need to go take drugs in the jungle. That's why I left. And I think, like, I'm starting to realize you're only as fucked up as you think you are. And it's really getting tiring thinking that there's something wrong with me. And I can blame my past for that all day fucking long, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. So all I can do is accept and acknowledge the fact that, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. And just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Just let it go. So, being said again, do I really want to go back to Canada and into that imperialistic culture where everybody's stressed out and worried about not making any money? And, like, if I'm going to be doing that, I might as well be doing it having fun anyway. Like, if I'm just going to be broke up there, just a different level of broke, right? Because up there, you need $2,000 a month to survive. Here, I need $500, right? So it's just different levels of broke. So do I really want to go to Canada? And what would I do? Like, and that's just it, is I've just invested 2 years of my life making this a reality, that I now have horse. I now have this tool that I have created to let me live anywhere. And I'm kind of realizing that I just need a shift of perspective, in the sense that I don't feel that I am traveling, that I am taking a motorcycle around the world, and that I am a tourist. I need to change my mindset to being a functioning nomad, and realize that my home is a mobile unit, and my home turf is Earth itself. And I have, in my capacity, the ability to be anywhere on this planet and live there. See, and right before I left with the broken bike, I tried to get a dive internship here in Cozumel that would ultimately give me my dive master, so I could make money guiding diving tours elsewhere and continuing. Just another thing, another tool to put in my pocket. I could work construction here, but there's so much more I could do to make this place a better place than just helping somebody build a house. I could talk all day about economic exploitation by the Western world, but I don't think I really want to get into that right now. But I kind of do. You know what I mean? Like, why is the peso 10 to 1, 15 to 1? Because we borrow money in North America at 3%. They borrow money at 35%. Even a credit card at, say, 12 to 15% in Canada versus 45% down here. That's the interest. So literally, Mexico owes so much money that they cannot afford to borrow money. It's credit, like mortgages and credit cards and whatever else, car loans, without, most people that have credit in this country never pay their principal. Ever, ever, ever. They just pay the interest and they're laughing. And the more money they make, the more interest they can afford and the more overall credit they have. And see, that's the same everywhere. But the difference is the fact that, America just owns the Reserve Bank. Mexico owes America and then the Reserve Bank. So they're paying more interest. And then all the way south. And what the fuck is this interest? Okay, a bank doesn't take $100,000 out of its pocket and give it to a country and say, okay, now you got to pay us that back. No, they fucking punch some numbers into a computer, create $100,000 out of thin air, and say, okay, now you got to pay us this money that we just invented, and the interest. So there's literally no way to ever possibly pay it off, because you borrow $100,000, you got to pay back 120, but you only have 100, right? People say that slavery ended. It didn't. Slavery did not end. Okay? Minimum wage, if you are living paycheck to paycheck and you're just getting by, you're getting food in your belly, you're getting a roof over your head, and you're getting water in your system, if that is all you have, you're a slave. And the only thing that freeing the slaves has really given us the freedom to do is the freedom to choose how we choose to perform our slavery. So you could choose whether you sharpen the chisels or you move the blocks or you stack the blocks. That's the freedom. And I'm not saying that I'm not a puppet. I just know where my strings are. It's what point am I trying to make here? I'm trying to make the point that my common sense, standard sense, is screaming at me to basically just cut your losses and go back to Canada, work there, participate, start community action projects, do whatever I wanted to do in making the world a better place, and just work to make my part of Canada a better place. That's not a bad idea. And then, I've got horse. Well, horse is in shambles right now, and I've already paid all the shipping. What did it was $500 in parts. This is all American. $500 in parts, $350 to ship it. So it cost me $850. Not to mention, I'm in Cozumel. Shit's expensive here. Holy crap. Like, I should have stayed in Oaxaca. Oh, man. Like, do I carry on? Because I can? And I want to see a world that's like the world, that's not split up by all these imaginary lines of I own you? Or do I want to go live with my people and limit my people to only the, like, but I don't know. Can somebody comment on this? This has been my week.